me to start talking.
Corbin Maverick.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Chris,
Maverick.
you remember.
I did.
How did you remember that?
Sometimes I remember names. But
I'm really impressed.
Also, I forget a lot of names.
Live.
Oh, okay.
Alive.
Who's introducing us?
I thought Travis was going to, but anyhow, welcome to episode 160 of Behind the Toolbelt. This is a very special raw and uncut episode. We are in Utah, Nimbus World Headquarters.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to call it, their world
Right?
headquarters. I believe
World
it's their
headquarters.
only
One.
but because it's the only one in the world, it would therefore be their world headquarters.
There you go. I love that. I love that. I love the analogy. So this is Miss Jen Silver.
Yes.
The one in
Roofing Utah.
Yes.
One industry, one model.
I know. Can you believe it? We just finished day one of our very last tour stop.
That sucks. I'm sad because I felt like I'm just getting started here.
I mean,
Jen's just getting started though.
I am. I think
this isn't about her.
Pivoting a little bit next year and spending some more time going deeper into the numbers and how that works and giving people tools that they can take back. I want to take my spreadsheet. I want to simplify it. You know, I had a couple contractors today ask me, hey, can I have that? And I'm like, no, because if I don't feel comfortable giving it to you, if I haven't taught you how to use it. Because what if then you put in something wrong and your break-even point isn't accurate? And then I would feel like that's my responsibility. But coming up with something that is a lot simpler that they can use, and I don't need to do a whole bunch of explanation or worry about it, is really what I'm going to focus on this year.
So what is it, like an Excel spreadsheet, or did you like make something else?
No, it's an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
So
I've
done a few different classes over the course of my career, and I kind of took ideas from different ones and spun it into one and had it made. But it's still more complex than I think it needs to be right now.
Yeah. So you want to break it down into layman's terms a little bit for us roofing contractors, especially me.
Well, at least first year, right?
Yeah,
I don't want it to be overwhelming and daunting. I want it to be rewarding.
Yeah, right.
And that's going to require me to back and say, okay, if this is your first time ever budgeting, let's start here, and then we can grow from there.
Okay.
So,
can you explain it to us? Like, so it's an Excel spreadsheet. So is it per job, or is it like being able to create your entire company?
it's a budget, right?
Okay.
So you're looking at the year and you're kind of saying, okay, we know, for example, you guys do something big every November, right?
Yeah.
And that's a cost associated with the business.
Yes.
So you would budget that into contributions. And then you look at, we're going to hire, we're going to start another division. And that's going to take, 6 people. And you budget them into your budget along with their trucks or their vehicles or whatever other expenses are associated with that.
Yes.
Promotions, marketing plans, salaries, if you're budgeting for growth. And in your business, because you have multiple profit centers, so to speak, right? You've got that have different margins associated with it. You need to be able to tie that all in and budget that accordingly. So if you're doing, 20% commercial and that commercial is only at a 20% profit margin, you don't want the numbers from your roof, your residential side at a 50% profit margin to be misconstrued because they're not the same.
Yes.
So when you look at that to a break-even dollar amount, and your break-even is based on your fixed overhead expenses and your variable overhead expenses, because once your fixed overhead expenses are covered, all your salaries, any lease payments or vehicle payments or building maintenance or payments, then you've got only variable overhead associated with it after that. And your margins go considerably up. You're obviously going to make more money when there's less expenses that you're paying.
Yeah.
But what most contractors don't know is what is that number, right? And it changes significantly. If you watched today when I was just adjusting those cost of goods sold by a couple percent. I mean, you're going anywhere from $1 million in volume to, I think when we went from 64% down to 50% cost of goods sold, it took it from 5.8 million down to 3.1.
Yes.
So 14% difference in what you're charging.
That's huge.
It's huge. And, when you look at it from an insurance standpoint and a supplementing standpoint, settling on claims is hard.
Yeah.
And I think if, as an industry, if we just approached it from, okay, I need to be at 40%, right?
Yeah.
That's where I need to be to hit this break-even point. Then if you're at 40%, if drip edge or starter's not on there, but you're at 40%, stop, move on, collect, go, right?
Yes.
But then also on the ones that you're at 35%, you need to know when to walk away or
for
know
sure.
when to put it, not count it towards your sales, right? That's the other option is if they don't hit those margins, just don't include it when you're looking at where you need to get to, because your numbers are going to get construed differently.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a question for you.
Yes.
All right. So what we've noticed over the years, right? So we do multiple things. So we do commercial, light commercial, retail, new construction, and all different types of things. So within your Excel spreadsheet, so what we've come to realize is that our overhead's different for each facet of our company. So retail would require like a bigger overhead, right?
Yep.
For marketing, commissions, I mean, all of it, right? And then new construction, right? There's 3 or 4 things that need to be done, right? You do the takeoff, you send the material list to your takeoff to ABC or whatever to your distribution. You call a subcontractor, and that's it. So there's not much overhead associated with that, right? So what we've tried to do is like pull these different things out. So with your Excel spreadsheet, your form, would we need 3 or 4 of them, or would that be able to track everything?
So it depends. If you share employees in all of them, okay, then the spreadsheet would work, right? Because you can allocate, because it's really a different cost of goods sold.
Yes.
It's not so much a different overhead because the overhead is shared by all of the companies.
That's true.
Right. So
Right.
what you're really charting out that's different is cost of goods sold. So doing that, and then you need to know the percentage of business.
Yeah.
So if the company's overall sales goal is 40 million for 23, and you know that typically 20% of your business comes from new build, 20% of your business is coming from residential, and then 40% of the sales, right? Because we're looking at it from a sales standpoint only right now.
Yes.
Comes from commercial, but commercial only has a margin of, your cost of goods sold is 75%, whereas your residential margin is 50%. The volume that you're going to have to do is significantly higher to hit your break even.
Yes.
That's why typically commercial sales reps don't make the same amount in commission. Typically if you're doing commercial sales, you're already going to be a $10+ million company just because the ticket size is so big.
That was going to lead me to my next question. Like, so as far as overhead, because overhead, I think, is one thing that a lot of people don't think about, right? You got to find out like what that overhead cost is. At least I know we did, for me to feel comfortable to bid a job.
Right.
Right. So you got to build that into bidding that jobs. And that's why I started to state, like with new construction, we know there's less overhead. Yes, there's Vic's time, Chris Baker's time, because there are costing guys. They do all the estimating. So yes, we got to include that in our overhead on bidding that job across the board. So I just lost my train of thought.
Not necessarily. Okay. And here's why. So Vic and Chris still do other jobs as well. So you're going to have Vic's salary regardless of whether or not that commercial job came in or not.
Yes.
So that's actually a percentage of the general overhead. That's why you focus more on the cost of goods sold.
Yes, right.
So if you know that 10% of Vic's time is spent on commercial, even though the sales volume is so much more, if only 10% of his time is spent there, that's why you can do it at such a lower gross margin.
Yes.
And those are what you have to understand, because it would be really hard to take Vic's salary and allocate it into cost of goods sold because it's not cost of goods sold.
Yes.
It is a fixed overhead expense.
Of course it is. Yes. Yep. No. Okay. Good answer.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally.
I loved the part about the difference between sales and revenue. Like at first I was like, is this a trick question? Right. I think it's probably why no one said anything. Mic closer. There you go. My back.
Is this close enough? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I just want to be closer to Jen.
Okay, we can.
There you go.
I'm just kidding.
Can you feel
the love tonight?
Okay.
Oh boy.
It's the hat. That's what it's totally the hat.
Good, though. So sales. I just thought that was really eye-opening because we, in our business, and I don't want to get into the details, but we oftentimes take deposits, credits, and we treat them like sales.
So most people don't know. You treat it like revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly, almost everybody does. Now, there is a way in QuickBooks. What you do is when you receive a deposit, you actually apply it to a sales order, which is exactly what it says. It says somebody's ordering something, they've given me a deposit, and until it gets fulfilled, it counts as a liability even in my QuickBooks.
That's the key, the liability piece.
Yes, because we view it as revenue is money earned, right? Sales is jobs sold. So if you're that, and again, this is what happens in the rob Peter to pay Paul model, is because we include everything as, sales is revenue. But if you apply it as a sales order in your QuickBooks and then you turn it into an invoice, once you start to generate work around it, your QuickBooks will show you that it's a liability.
Absolutely.
And that it's not actually an asset.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah.
And I liked how you brought up to cash or accrual. When people do their taxes, they should use their cash. And the easiest way that I could always explain that to somebody is like accrual is like what should happen, and cash is like real time, like what is happening. And that would be the easiest way for me to explain to somebody, because when I've explained that to people before, they're like, well, what's the difference? Well, like you were stating, when my Med Ed bill comes in, we put it in QuickBooks, even though it's due in 30 days. I still want to know what's coming down the pipeline so we can do our budgeting better and pay our bills on time.
That's why I always say you manage your business based on accrual. You get funding, you pay taxes, you do everything else based on cash.
Exactly.
Right. And now there is a certain period or a certain point where a business reaches a volume they can no longer file taxes as cash. But I think, most of us are pretty far away from that right now.
Most definitely.
But what we don't do is we don't put it in. And a lot of it is because people don't have a bookkeeper and staff, right? Even outsourcing your bookkeeper, do you send them and scan them in every bill that comes in the mail? Most people don't, right? The bookkeeper goes in, they see checks that have been written, they reconcile the accounts, they assign it to where it's supposed to go. And it's really difficult when you don't have a lot of employees and you don't have a lot going on, it's okay. But really, once you get over $1 million, $1.5 million, you really need to look at what expenses are coming up. Now, I don't have any supplier credit. Like I think Beacon just actually gave us some, but I refused to sign any personal guarantees when I started my business. Part of that was out of fear because I was not prepared to be a roofing company owner. It wasn't the mindset that I was in. So I didn't have money saved up. And I didn't want to get in a position where I was going to go out of business. So I didn't sign I wouldn't sign a personal guarantee with anybody. I had no credit. I paid cash for everything.
COD.
Yeah. And it was very easy for me to track because
of course,
if we didn't have the money in the bank, we didn't do the job. Right.
Yeah.
And we literally took deposits and we bought materials. Like that is exactly what we did with them because that's how we had to function. Now as we're starting to grow and things, we're starting to get credit because we built that because we paid on time and that's what generates business credit. It is going to become way more important for us to start to manage more on accrual. And as I step out and I start to, relinquish some of my responsibilities to other people to pay the bills. And, my goal is to be completely unnecessary in the business within the next 2 years. In order for me to do that, doesn't mean I don't want to work there. I just don't want to be necessary, right? I genuinely want to lead and develop and support. And I'm going to have something that people can
plan. That's a really hard thing to do. Just to warn you. I mean, at least for me, because I'm kind of a control freak and I don't trust people. Now, it has gotten to that point because of the pain. The pain was great enough, and I come to realize that I was the bottleneck of the business and stuff. And I also thought that nobody could do it as well as I can do it. Well, sad story is that they do it actually better than I do it, because now I'm not doing 15 different jobs. That was actually 12 full-time jobs for other people. And I was just mediocre at it, but I'm just warning you, it's a tough thing to do to be able to trust people. But once you get those right people in the seats, on the bus, dude, like that's when things really happen. Like job didn't miss. And I even thought that today when I was walking around the hall, somebody gave me the detour, and unfortunately, I think his name was Matt. Thank you, Matt. And if your name's not Matt, I'm sorry if you're listening. But I'm walking around the place and I'm like, who is the owner of Job and Miss? What's his name?
Ben Hodson. Ben Hodson.
Hodson. Okay. If he wouldn't have let go, like he would never be where he's at. Like to encourage his people and embrace them to be good at what they're doing, he would never have this world headquarters here. And like you have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to embrace people. You have to allow them to make mistakes. Not to get off topic here,
No.
but when you said that, because that took me a good 3 years before I was fully like, okay, you're better at this than me, and to admit that.
So part of that is, how do you process fear,
Mhm.
right? Because really what control is it's fear. It's fear driven. So I, after the plane crashed into my house and, some of the other things that I had gone through, I realized that control genuinely is an illusion. I cannot control anyone else. I can control my words, and my, like what I say to people and my actions. That's really it.
Yeah.
So I can't control how other people even perceive my words. I can do my best to help that, but I can't control it. So when I look at things like that and I feel afraid, I stop and I'm like, okay, oh, I'm afraid. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid I'm going to get screwed over. Okay. What's the worst case scenario if somebody was to screw me over? Like completely worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is there anything that I can do to prevent that? Meaning maybe I'm worried somebody's going to embezzle from me. Okay. Well, do I have the proper checks and balances in place? Meaning the person that writes the checks is not the person that signs the checks, right? Like there are certain things that you can do to make, okay, well, I've done everything I can. Outside of that, is there anything else I can control in this situation? And if they do steal from me, what does that mean about me? Well, nothing, because I've done everything that I could to put in the right things in place. And probably means I'm going to lose some money. Probably means we're going to go to court. Okay, so not doing it, what does that cost me? Right? It costs me freedom. It costs me ability to spend time with my kids. It costs me the ability to go out and work with other contractors. So which is greater? Right? And sometimes I'm still scared. And I just do it scared.
No,
right?
and I like that, because when we finally started to get like a really good process put in place, that's when I felt like I could really start to let go. And that's what it comes down to, is really having a good process, checks and balances, having all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. And when we started to get, now it took us a good probably 3 years to implement our CRM fully, along with QuickBooks and some other processes that we put in place. And then started to get the right people that were smarter than me. And like you said, I like how you said, have somebody print the checks and somebody else sign it. Well, that's a perfect example of something like that. That was one of my biggest fears, because I was so used to signing every check. Now, I still am funny about that, because I feel like the person who has worked so hard for me at least has earned the respect from me to at least sign their check.
Then just have somebody else print it.
Exactly.
That's really all it is, right? Like,
and I'm funny about that. Like, so like, no matter where I'm at in the world, I'm like, I'll still sign checks for everybody, because I just feel like I don't ever want it to get so big where it's like, I don't even know your name anymore.
There will become a time though when you can't physically do it.
I will try.
And
I am so
respect that.
horrible with people's names too.
And
that's what Vic's here. I'm like, Vic, what's his name? He's been here for 6 months. I know, but I just don't know. But anyhow, I always want that personal connection with our team. And I really feel like that's been a huge part of our culture is just being around, being available. I guess. So,
but you also need to look at what happens if something happened to you. Right? Like, what fail safes do you have in place in that situation? Kind of like what Tomas was talking about earlier, is sometimes there's situations that are not predictable. When I had COVID, when I don't even know what freaking year it was, but I think, December of 21, like I had anxiety about being in bed for a week. Like, because the company, I couldn't go to work. Right now, granted, thankfully it was December, so it wasn't terrible, but what would happen to me if I got into a car accident and I was in the hospital? Do I have those fail safes put into place? And, this year's been really interesting with, when Ben Menchaca passed away, that really made me look at my life and, am I set up? Am I set up for my kids? Am I set up for my business? And, I've recently started working on my will, and, I got some life insurance and, made the business part beneficiary and, just taking different actions to make sure those things are, together. And then, last week with Dustin Beagler's passing, it's like, okay, there's probably still more to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting any younger.
No.
Mortality is a very real thing. And I think it was kind of like when I was talking about earlier today, what's your exit strategy? I don't care if you've been in business 2 days, having some type of an exit strategy and something that you're working towards, I think personally is critical because it makes you think of things like that, because emergencies happen and it's terrible, but we are responsible for people's lives.
Yeah.
Not their physical life. Sometimes their physical life, but their livelihood and their families. And I think it's irresponsible of us as business owners to not plan for those types of things.
Very good.
Sometimes it takes getting smacked in the face.
Did you change your mind a little bit, you think?
What's that?
Did you change your mind a little bit?
On which part?
Signing checks?
No way, Jose. Now, don't get me wrong.
He has somebody that can sign for him.
Yeah,
he just wants to do it.
Yeah, like this week I won't sign the checks.
Right. Yeah.
But there for a while, I wouldn't leave the country or anything. Oh my God, I could be there for Thursday to sign checks. And when I am home, I will. Kim will bring over the stack of, but mostly everyone has ACH now. So there's a couple few. There's not very many anymore because, technology and stuff like that. Plus, too, I like to tell people like Thursday at midnight or Friday morning at midnight, your money will be in the bank.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I probably get more pleasure out of that than anything.
Yeah, and it's a level of appreciation, right? And there's a level of accomplishment, and
right.
Yeah, there just is. When you know that you're helping somebody else who's helped you, and they're taking care of their family.
Yeah.
Based on the opportunities that you've given them, it's humbling.
The best thing about it. I love watching somebody pull in with a new car or buying a new home. Like during COVID, we had 3 people that worked buy homes.
That's awesome.
During COVID, they had no fear. And I'm like, man, do these crazy SOBs think I know what the hell I'm doing? Like they're buying homes, having babies and families and shit. Like, yo, but seriously, like you said, we're responsible for their livelihoods, and I've been on this kick for a while now. It's like my dream has to be big enough for their dreams to fit in. But the issue I'm running into now is I don't know how big my dream has to be in order for everyone's dream to fit in.
Part of
this
it is,
thing.
I think,
I know that sounds crazy. It's almost like a fancy problem to have.
What's
like
your
my
end
dream.
game? Like, what do you want to have accomplished?
I go back and forth with that. The end game is to dominate the roofing industry.
But what does that mean?
What does that mean? This is what that means. It means that Vic, if he wants to go to the Carolinas, he will have his own TC Backer shop down there.
Okay.
If Glenn wants to end up in Alabama, Lauren wants to end up on the west coast of Florida.
So that's still opportunistic. What does that mean from a measurable result standpoint? How much liquid capital would you need to have for those things to be able to happen, right? And that's how I think you can start to work towards what your end game is. It's really hard when it's conceptual.
Yeah, right.
It's a great goal, but how much liquid capital would Vic need to go start this company in the Carolinas if that's what he wants?
We have a pretty good idea, and we have a pretty good vehicle that helps us get there too. A little more unique than I think
most people are doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And games can be private, right? I don't need to know if your goal is to have $100 million liquid. Like, that's not my business. As long as it's
not even about the money.
I know it's not. And I get that for you, but the money is what allows those opportunities to happen.
For sure.
And I think we get stuck in, oh my gosh, if I'm measuring the money, it must mean I'm greedy, or it must mean I'm a bad person. And no, that's not the case. Money offers the opportunity to be able to have those things.
Right.
And it's the easiest thing to measure.
Yeah. For sure. Yes. And it doesn't lie.
No, it does not. No, numbers do not lie. They may not be sexy, but they don't lie.
That's right.
No.
For sure. Such a great topic.
You wanted to be a captain.
I do. I want to fish. Well,
I want to go fishing sometime with you.
I want to own my own.
I love deep sea fishing.
Charter boat. Right. So during COVID, I started right before COVID. I had passed 2-3 tests, failed the 3rd test, and was able to go back. But then COVID locked the school down that I was attending at the time to take my testing. But it's pretty elaborate. And man, I have not taken, like, even in high school or any college courses that I've taken, has nothing compared to trying to be a captain of a boat. Between the laws of the water and just all kinds of things. It's just, there's a lot. And then the background checks and everything that goes into that. But anyhow, but my goal at some point in time is to charter my own boat and take people out, and that joy that I see from them catching a fish, like there's no other better feeling than catching a fish. And I love to share that with other people. So, I go on a couple of different fishing trips throughout the course of the year. Well, I pretend that like I'm this shrimp boat captain and I got my crew.
Are you Bubba Gump?
Yeah, I'm Bubba Gump. And, I got all the fishing poles and the bait and the tackle and the terminal tackle and all that stuff, and making sure that the boat has enough fuel that we can go out far enough to make it back, because you don't want too much fuel. So especially if we got to get back, so you want the boat a certain weight and all of these things, and the wind and the drift and the current and all that thing. Like you got to take all of that into consideration. So like I'll sit there and like chart out our course, and it's just, I'm not really pretending, because it's legit. These people's lives are in my hands right now, and we're going out to the inlet and the boat's coming out of the water, and I'm supposed to act like I know what the hell I'm doing, but I love it. I just
so I can't help. Sorry to interrupt.
Go
I can't help. Jake Hess did an awesome job.
Yes.
SolarCon.
Yes.
Solar Academy, right?
Yes.
Also Solar Academy.
All things solar.
Yeah.
Jake's
Jake
genius.
Hess. Yeah. Super guy too.
Yes.
But that story he told about the fisherman, I think it was a fisherman.
It was mind blowing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'll be honest, Ty, I kind of thought about you in terms of like, couldn't you just do that right now? Like if that's a dream, like to spend time fishing, doing the
totally could,
bringing that joy to people's
there
lives.
There has to be a peace and an accomplishment knowing you could. I think for him right now, he still wants to accomplish other people's dreams. So his dream is on the back burner until he's accomplished whatever it is inside of other people's
what just
dreams.
occurred to me, my family suffers because of that.
Oh yeah, I know.
That just occurred to me, but they go with it well. You know what I mean?
At some point, it's going to have to be about their dreams.
I wonder,
and
like,
dreams.
Right?
Because most, and I'm not saying your team is like that, but most people would not do the same. Like they would not put your dreams in front of theirs.
Yeah, I know that.
Right. And I know that too. It doesn't mean that I'm going to change who I am as a human. It doesn't mean any of that. But I agree with you. As business owners, it's easy to lose sight of our family and the time with them, because especially if your career is tied into what makes you feel like you have worth or what your value.
Totally.
And I'm guilty of it too. But I need to run. So I'm going to tap Travis in and I'm going to tap out.
Jen. Thank you.
Thank you
Always
guys. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you guys soon, I'm sure. Trav.
You want to?
Your turn.
Is it a commercial break?
I just took a commercial break.
Live
Mike, do you
And we'll be back in T-minus 3 seconds.
Go ahead, you and Mike get in there.
What? I'm not doing the interviews.
You're interviewing each other.
Yeah.
Just sit
Here.
Here,
Get in here. We got our Red Bulls out because Red Bull's gonna sponsor this eventually.
Yeah, so make sure you're drinking a Red Bull.
Dude, Red Bull. I've never had a Red Bull. To have one today.
I only drink them with vodka, and it's got to be good vodka, like Grey Goose or above. Is there some in this? Is it pre-mixed?
Pre-mixed. Give it a try.
The last thing I need in my body is a stimulant. Could you imagine off of walls, and I would probably fly out the window if I.
Well, then he can pass that down here so I can drink it.
There you go.
Yeah, but then it's not really in the shot. You got to get it. You don't care.
Too late.
Okay.
That one's even cold.
Yeah.
I got this warm Red Bull.
I just wanted it in the shot. Just trying to get you that sponsorship, Ty. Are we still live?
Oh,
We're still live?
That'd be a good thing.
Everybody?
I'm guessing that would pay a bill or two, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But hey, it's worth it. It's something, right?
I hate to derail your show, but I'm more of a Monster guy. Sorry, Red Bull.
Hey. Yeah.
Switch
Yeah,
over?
they don't get their act together soon.
Yeah.
Monster will be all over this backdrop.
Maybe some NOS, maybe. Celsius, if you want to get organic. There you go.
How do you even know these? I've never even heard
Yeah,
of
right,
these.
right. I knew Monster.
I knew Monster.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Let's just say I live on stimulants.
Mike does not.
I have a cup of coffee in the morning, then I'm good for the day. I have a hard time sleeping at night.
Can you hear us okay? We got, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Travis, president of Roofle.
And I am Mike. I am the vice president of revenue and court jester. So they actually
Self-proclaimed, or is this an actual title?
Well, so what ended up happening is when I came on board a couple of months ago, I have found a knack for breaking things. And I think right now that you kind of rely on me to break stuff. Hey, let Mike fiddle around with that and we'll see how it works. And I kind of found a home here. I really enjoy it.
I mean, that's
It's
like
been fun.
bodybuilding, right? You're just breaking down muscle to build it up, right? I mean, that's, you
Essentially.
could have an analogy there. Like,
Yeah. I mean, we'll pretend like it's a better place with me than without me, I guess.
Yeah. Definitely with.
Mike knows a lot about breaking things
Yes.
down and building back up again. Have you seen this guy?
Right.
Mike's been around the block.
I have, and yeah, I'm old.
Why don't you? That'd be maybe a good thing to share. Like, what is your
My
background?
pedigree?
Yeah, your pedigree.
Yeah, so I started roofing in 1992. So I graduated high school, and like the next week I went on the road and we traveled around the country shingling salt domes, and I did that throughout my college career. And we were hand nailing, and it was almost entirely 3-tab shingles. Was
it 6-nail or 4-nail back then?
That was 4 nails.
Oh,
No, come on. Yeah, toe boards. We were actually discussing this too with fall protection. Like these are salt domes, so they're like
they're like
2112 at the base, and then very top you could actually walk it because by then it was like an 8 or 1012. We would cut hip out of 3-tab for like 3 days because you would have 25 to 30 squares of hip to cut on these domes. So yeah, so it was a lot of hours, and so I cut my teeth actually installing shingles, and I did that. And I started my own company in 2000. Did that for about 10 years, but I really did a lot of installing. Yeah. And then that's when I joined GAF.
Did you know that you weren't going to do the college route?
I graduated college.
Oh,
for sure.
Did I miss that?
No,
Okay,
I did. I did 4 years. Yeah, so I worked
Okay.
my way through college. I actually
Doing this. You were installing while you were going through college.
Yeah, so college didn't help me. Like I'm dumber today than ever. It's like I lose brain cells every day. It seems like it's just like
interesting.
Yeah,
it seems like we should start back at growing up on a pig farm in Iowa. Maybe we should have started there and worked our way forward to this, and then it makes more sense.
Yeah.
And then we all get it.
So I grew up in Iowa, and not
Hawks.
the really cool. Yeah, I'm a huge Hawkeye fan. So everybody's like, "Oh, so sorry, the Giants just beat the Vikings." I'm like, "Who's the Vikings?"
Yeah, right.
Hawkeyes have never played the Vikings. But no, it's not, because people would be surprised at how beautiful there are parts of Iowa. That was not me. I was part of Iowa where you could watch your dog run away for 2 weeks. Like, it just
Still there.
just
I've never heard
he's
that.
down by
Watch
Waterloo.
your dog run away for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Can you call the? Oh no, he's down by Waterloo by now. It's like it's been running away for a while now. So yeah, I grew up on a hog farm, and my parents still live there. My brother still lives down there in Iowa. And funny thing, I pulled up the address just to see what Roof Quote Pro would do with a literally in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. Can it pull up measurements? And sure enough, 10 structures were there, and they were all measured out. And I'd re-roofed my house twice, my parents' house twice, and it was not inaccurate. I was like, that's amazing.
That was all you needed.
That's all I need. Yeah, dude. If you could do Aurora, Iowa, you can do it. Yeah, this thing works. Yeah.
We need to talk about Aurora, Iowa, right? Is that
Aurora, Iowa?
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to know what their claim to fame is, or like usually when you come into a town, it says the hometown of so and so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't say the hometown of Mike Goldenstein. Make sure I say that right.
Goldschnauzer.
Goldschnauzer.
Yeah.
They're known for something else.
Yeah. We are the Prince Farming. He was Chris Soules was on the Bachelorette, and he came in like second or third, but he was like crowd favorite, and so they made him the Bachelor. And then I think he was on Dancing with the Stars, but he was our next door neighbor. I used to babysit him as a kid.
You're
so like
kidding.
in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. So as the limousine is coming in for like that final episode where they go into the barn and he proposes. Like in that shot, you can see the farm that I grew up in. It was that close. The joke of the entire show, though, was how he grew up in the middle of nowhere, and like the girls all went to Arlington, Iowa, which is down there. It's kind of a ghost town, and it kind of became a joke. But to have my dad call me did you watch The Bachelor?
No, Dad.
No.
And why are you watching it?
Right? Like, what are you? I didn't even know you knew that was a show. But yeah, no, they're dear family friends, and they really are a fantastic family, and we've enjoyed it. So that was our claim to fame. Yeah.
Do they have like one of those green signs when you come into the town that Chris, what's his last name?
Chris Souls. And I haven't been home in so long. And even then it's kind of, you're not by anything. Like you're literally in the middle of nowhere. It was 20 minutes to the nearest stoplight, and that was a flashing red. If you wanted to actually have green, yellow, red, that was closer to half hour. It was over an hour to the nearest McDonald's when I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is there like sports? Are you playing football and
wrestling and football?
Wrestling
yeah, that
and
was
football?
my life. We were talking about that. People keep talking about this basketball thing. I didn't even know that was still a sport. I mean, we hadn't recognized that in Iowa in decades, but evidently that's still a thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
So, who knew?
So you went from shingling salt domes or salt towers to going forward from there, just kind of continue on the journey.
Yeah. How did you get into GAF? Because that was the last thing you said. So then I got
we're going to get to the good stuff. About
right.
Let's do that. Everyone wants to know.
But we're rolling out the red carpet today. It was because I graduated, so you do need a degree to work at GAF.
Correct.
And I had actually become really good friends with my territory manager, because I did have a company and I was certified with GAF, and I had found out that he was being promoted, and like, well, who's doing your job? I had no idea what he actually did. So I really
golfed and fished.
Yeah, right. I kind of thought it was like, take care of services. Do you need samples? Do you need this? And you just kind of service these accounts. And when I found out it was a sales job, I'm like, I don't know if I'm very good at sales. Actually, I don't know if this is a good fit. But no, it did. It led to a fantastic career. I loved my time at GAF, and got to know a lot of great people that helped me out a ton in my career, and give me freedom.
I think I met you for the first time at the Ohio GAF Caravan last year at the, blanking on the name of it, but some casino somewhere. Yeah. Now this year it's at the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, Canton.
Seriously?
Yeah. I just got the official invite.
See, I didn't get the invite.
So go to the GA.
I need an invite.
Yeah,
dude, I've never been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I love football. It's my favorite sport in the world. I want to go.
Well, let's get Roofle there.
We need Roofle there.
I think it would make sense, GAF, if Roofle came to the Ohio Caravan.
We could talk about Roof Quote Pro and all the great releases that we have coming up, or things we just recently released. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, tons.
Talk technology, innovative.
Tons.
A lot of stuff that we have.
Yeah. You know who to call, right? Kevin O'Brien.
Yep, Kevin.
If you're watching this, you should text Mike or Travis.
Yeah, return my phone calls, please.
Or that too.
Get a lot.
No, you presented at that.
I did. Yeah. So it was John Cenac, myself, Tim Johnson, who are all very dear friends. I didn't know who you were.
Yeah. But who are those young bucks up there? What are they talking about?
Yeah. And you kind of tag teamed your whole presentation, which was cool. It was unique. Yeah. Unique. And it was fun. It was it was kind of one of those moments for me, if I can be a little bit arrogant, that, these are people that they were really close to me, and I was watching the type of impact that they were having on our industry. And so I was trying to, hey guys, you should probably use these guys because they're insanely smart and they've got great content and they're really getting things done. And people were agreeing and having them come in. And I know that's they have had a profound impact on the industry. And that's what's fun, even moving with Roofle, is being part of something that's totally different that nobody's really, we joke about this a little bit. How many times people say, I was thinking about doing that. I had that in my mind to do that. They didn't, and here you've got a group of guys that out of Minnesota that did and have that made this a reality, something that is going to revolutionize an entire industry. It's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's fun watching you guys.
It's fun watching you guys.
Speaking of reality, you should tell little bit of the story that your innovation as a company, because as a construction company, you've always had innovative thinkers within the construction company. So reality, you told me last night, your first innovation was
virtual reality.
Virtual reality.
Oh, I'm going to get salty. You want me to get salty? Hey, where's the vodka? If you want to talk about this, because
it's interesting. It's kind of cool.
When we got invited to Wealth Builder, I don't know if it was 2016 or somewhere around there, where they essentially talk about different innovations or how you can implement something innovative within your company, and it's been able to be successful for you. So years ago, we used virtual reality. So like before like Oculus and things like that really came out, virtual reality was like brand new. It required like an $8,000 computer and these crazy headsets. Like it was pretty technical. We use that for kitchens and bathrooms. So we put the headset on, and then the customers would come into the office and they would be able to walk around and see like their new kitchen and new bathroom and be able to select all their different stuff. We even used it for like HOAs, so they could walk down the street of their apartment complex or their HOA community and see like, this is what color it'll be for siding and roofs. So they'd be able to say, okay, this all kind of meshes well together. So we use that as like a sales tactic or a sales tool, essentially, like to help sell jobs, right? So we get invited to go there and do this. So we go up there, we present, we do a great job. We're like, oh, we're going to win this, because everyone was totally blown away by how cool this was. Well, then the next presenter comes up, and I mean, don't get me wrong, he was a phenomenal presenter, but he presents on what is it?
Disc
right?
assessments.
He does disc assessments. I'm like, how is this innovative? Like, this has been around for like forever, hundreds of years. People have used this, right?
Right.
So he presents on it and about how they use that with like being able to set their appointments to pair them up with, the right sales rep, right? So that essentially you have this type of personality with this type of personality. So then like you're guaranteed to get, some sort of sale. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we lost the DISC assessments because it really came down to being able to implement it within your business. He made it seem like it was very easy to implement,
right?
Where ours took like technology, tens of thousands,
really proof.
Yeah, I mean,
it's conceptual.
The funny thing is that
virtual reality,
fake. Right? It's technology, right? It's not real.
Pretend contracting.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like, okay, this is so easy to implement, right? So like, okay, we're going to try to implement this within our business, right?
The disc thing,
the disc, right? So we get them on the phone, and we're like, everyone knows trying to set an appointment with the homeowner. They're in a hurry. They don't want to talk very much, right? So we're like, can you please tell me if you're a people person or if you'd rather be in a group or would you rather be alone? Like, we're asking, and they're like, why are you asking me these questions? Pass. They kept passing on the question. We could never actually determine the customers as far as what they were. So for us, it was like, it didn't work out very well.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
It's a great story.
That's a great story.
It's a really good story. And even the better story about it was I told that story. It was I think it was a podcast.
Yeah,
we were on,
it was
right?
a podcast. Yeah.
And I told that story and about like how like kind of salty we were about it. The next day we get a call from GAF and they say, we want to invite you back to Wealth.
No way.
To Wealth Builder, and we want you to present on Roofle and Roofquote Pro. And so, that was, I felt pretty good to get a call the next day. So clearly they had watched the podcast and had heard us talk about how we lost. And they're like, you now have a product that we believe for sure should be able to win this year.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
So now we have an invite back that we can be able to present on Roofquote Pro and Roofle this year.
When is
March.
That?
It's in March. The worst part about it is that when we presented on the first one, it was in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
This year, Austin, Texas.
Sounds like
we are talking about full redemption mode right now. So different product, right? Still technology, right? In the space, same venue, whatever.
But you've got the adaptability thing so locked in. Like we were talking about this yesterday, right? And with Lead Scout, like it's software, it's technology. We can show that it's going to have measurable impact, but it requires a commitment and a change in the way that you behave, right? With you guys, it's like, listen, you have the traffic, you add it, and we'll just show you the impact. Like I was thinking about even more so this morning, like just how simple that is. Like, why wouldn't everybody do that? Even if like some of the questions you guys were getting today about like, well, I'd just rather measure the roof, which side note, like, well, not understanding really what the product is doing then, if that's your question, but fair question still. Why not just try it? Right? I mean, you're a month-to-month subscription, right? Or do you have like an annual or what?
We have three different payments that they can make, or essentially 3 different programs that they can choose from. But yeah, I mean, essentially there's a flex plan to where that they can, pay $350 a month, and then they're able to cancel it anytime if they want to.
Right.
So, I mean, there's definitely, why not try it? Right.
Well,
and then
you're just collecting data to learn, okay, what am I doing today that could be working, could not be working, but I won't know unless I try this.
Right.
And at those price points, why wouldn't you try it?
And then also we make it as easy as possible as far as like helping them with an onboard, right? So a 45-minute onboarding call where you meet with one of our representatives to actually go through and select your products, put in your pricing, like get everything set up for you. So that by the time we're off of that call, you can just go ahead and just put it on your website. It's able to just go ahead and run and do what it does. And now with analytics that we've released, we're able to release the analytics to them to say, look, before you had this, your traffic was this and your conversion rate was this. After you've had it, here's your traffic, your conversion rate, after you're able to do it.
You're not measuring sales. You're not telling them like there's sales. It's all about customer engagement. And your ability to measure intent and then do something with that intent. Like when Jen said that she pads at 10%, whatever you need to do, if you're concerned in that onboarding, if you're concerned about, well, we're not really sure what our per square price is. Well, Jen, come up with something that's conservative. We're not trying to sell a roof right here. We're trying to get more time spent. What did you guys say? Like 9 minutes versus like 30 seconds. That's the success. Like that's your ROI in terms of the investment every month. And then you work off of that to get it better and better and better. Right.
Yeah.
So
the other part that I really appreciate about how they've designed it, because again, they were doing the proof of concept in actual by running it, by doing it. And so what they've created though is the ability to continue to build your brand and build your value proposition within the tool itself. What you don't want to do is just throw it out and get, oh, homeowner wants a price, here's a price. But you're actually able to talk about your enhanced warranties, talk about your processes, talk about your awards, talk about your status with your manufacturer. You get to continue to have complete control over that message throughout the buyer's process as well. So that, again, you're training your salespeople to do that, but then you release them. You don't know what they're going to say inside the home. So in many ways, this is actually a much safer way to have control over your branding and your value proposition to the online buyer that's there to learn about the products anyway.
So I look at it part of our product, we do direct mail. So many contractors that we've been working with the last few years want to tell their whole story on the piece of direct mail, right? You have like 4 seconds. Whereas in your experience, like we could make the best looking mail, we could have it targeted the right person, already qualify them to a certain degree, like they need a roof, you're doing a job in the area. We saw damage, so we're going to send them this postcard or this message, right? You still only have 4 seconds, right? It's like in the trash. Whereas what you guys are, to your point, Mike, like you now actually can, because they're proud of that story and they're proud of these awards and these accolades. You can start to actually have that in a way that can be disseminated and understood and seen versus a digital ad or something that's just in and out. That's huge.
And the ability to do videos on there. So you can present however you want to present, all the things that make you.
Yeah.
I think some of the best success stories we have is people that have done mailers and they put simply on there, get a quote in 26 seconds. That's all it says. That's the only text with a QR code. Or another one is like, get a quote by the time you get back to your front door. Like something just as simple as that with like the logo on the top where they scan it and they're able to go on there, right? It's like simple. It's very, very simple, right? As far as, what has driven traffic or people to be able to convert. Because like you said, they're trying to tell a whole story of all this text. They're like, I'm not reading this. Like there's just so much information there. Instead, you're giving them something of value very, very quickly with one sentence that's on the, the mailer or piece of paper, whatever it is.
Yeah. And those of us in that space, and shout out to Dope Marketing, they're here today. They're looking for what kind of content can we create to go from 4 seconds to 8 seconds to 12 seconds, and then hopefully scan that thing, right? Or do something. And obviously a quote and before you get to the front doors. It's better than a free estimate or inspection.
Call us for an inspection. Call us for a quote.
Nothing. I mean, that's fine. You can have that, but it's all about just what's the next thing that we can do to get their attention, because we're all vying for their attention and they've all seen it over and over and over. So what's going to stand out? It's get a quote.
And being on this part of it in the technical tech spot. I'm learning so many new things, like even conversion rate. I didn't even know what a conversion rate was when it came to websites.
They didn't teach it
Before
on
the-
the hog farm. They
No,
didn't talk about
I didn't.
conversions like pigs to piglets and things like that.
No. I do have a lot of, I have a lot of useless knowledge and
Use it
talents,
for
but,
analogies. I'm a big analogy guy. You
Yeah,
take
right.
that and apply it to technology
There you go.
because we can all relate to hog farming.
The analytics that he was talking about, though, is what blew me away, because when you're building a website and you're expecting hopefully traffic to come there and somebody to actually give you their contact information and turn that into a converted lead, somebody where you can actually interact with them. If you get 2 out of 100, you're doing good. You might want to do some things to try to get that to 3 or 4 out of 100, but I mean that's kind of what you expect. The analytics that coming up from our stuff, it's unbelievable. Like you almost feel bad even saying it, because people aren't going to believe that
It's like
we are
20,
having a performance
30.
between 15, 20. Some people are doing 40%. Are you kidding me? You got 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4 is coming to your website and giving you
Engaging.
here's my contact information.
Right.
Give me a call.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Donald Miller. I don't know if you guys know Donald Miller, building a story brand. He wrote Blue Like Jazz.
Blue Like Jazz.
Okay.
Yeah, I read that one.
So, by the way, you guys need to read Building a Story Brand. It's like 2-day read. It's amazing. You'll get some really good stuff out of it.
Do they have that on audio?
Yes. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Do they have a movie version?
I read it and then I listened to it driving from Pensacola to Orlando for RoofCon.
Okay.
I listened in those 6 hours. I listened to the whole book. He says that he's quantified an email to be $15, worth $15. So to your point, Mike, right? So the value of that information, right? And I can attest to that because I've bought his stuff, and I've obviously bought his book. I bought his book for other people, and a lot of that is because he has my information, and I get stuff from Donald Miller all the time, right? And a lot of it gets deleted, most of it gets deleted, but that's okay, right? Email marketing is not dead.
Yeah.
Like email marketing is really powerful if it's done well, and it's just that constant, getting in front of them, and the contractor can create that ability by having that information.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we look at this year, it always comes up with us with the contractors is like the year of the leads, right? Where the leads going to come from? Like that's really what they're worried about, right? With the down economy, whatever that they say, how are we going to get the leads? Well, it's like everybody blames manufacturers and suppliers, right, on how the cost has risen per square, right?
Yep.
Why was roofing so much more expensive in the last couple of years? It's like everyone's like manufacturer suppliers, right? It's like, well, let's look at the contractors just real quick. Let's look at the marketing dollars that are spent and how much maybe waste is going into that. So if you look at it like if you're spending $1 million to get X amount of leads, is there a way to spend $500,000 to get X number of leads? Well, let's look as far as like let's look at your conversion rates as far as your website, like how much you're spending to drive traffic. What is it? If we can improve that to where you can get leads for much cheaper compared to what you were, maybe we get away from other sources that are charging a lot of money to send them to 10 other contractors. We really have to look at as far as like trying to be more efficient, like as roofers, to be able to improve what our stats are. You know.
Well, when you were telling me about like the whole SEO thing, like when you search roof quote or roof estimate, by having Roofle embedded into your website, you are more likely to pop up. Which is like built in. I mean, I don't know that world. I don't know the digital world so much. So I don't know if you can speak on that.
Yeah, I'm not the marketing guy, and maybe, Tim and other people like that can speak on that type of stuff. But essentially, yeah, I mean, that's just what we found is that when you type in instant roof quote, what comes up typically on the first page are customers that have our technology embedded onto their website on the first page. So as far as helping their SEO, and obviously it has something to do probably with website time, and things like that obviously help all those factors. So I don't know exactly, to have to talk to a marketing guy that can all those things, but that's really, what we've seen as far as helping their organic traffic by having the technology actually embedded into their website.
Okay. So hit up Tim Brown at Hook Agency for that.
Absolutely.
Or Michael Stearns at Ascend.
Yeah. And what the other part of it's accessible to anybody. We've had people that we've helped. We've sent them to have somebody build their website for them that just started, that are able to utilize this tool and be successful. We have national companies that are all over the country running some of the largest operations in the country. It's accessible to everybody. Everybody can use it and implement it and get it started, get it rolling, and get some leads from it.
Yeah.
So
Well, you guys are building an integration with Blue Pages Pro. Chris Scoville's platform. So I thought of that because he said, like, the guy that's just getting started, get a website in a box ready to go with tons of bells and whistles for $1,500 for the year. And you've got Roofle built in. Now you got to get your subscription with Roofle, but it's like the plugins there.
That's one of the things that when we got into, right? So we sell direct to homeowner, which we don't do anymore, right? Roofle doesn't do direct to consumer anymore. Everything that we do is all associated with, selling our technology to contractors. When we got into it, we never expected to become somewhat of a consultant, right? For these contractors. So they come to us and say, hey, we love the idea. We love the technology. I don't have a website. So where do I start, right? So we've partnered with some great companies, like Hook and some other ones out there, to where that we refer them to these organizations to build them websites. So essentially, we get a lot of contractors that essentially have nothing, and really kind of help them build, really nothing and build it into something by referring them to different agencies where they can go and have a conversation and say, here's where I can go, because we have heard the horror stories about getting burned, right? They go to these agencies, they build a website for them that's not really even completed, and they spent thousands of dollars and get nothing. Right. So we do get a lot of those contractors that come to us because of the innovation that we have, the technology we came out with. They said, we love the idea. I love how you're innovative. Where do I get started? And then we kind of have that consultation with them and kind of talk about like, well, let's start here. We'll refer you out to these people. And then once you get that done, then come back to us and then kind of go, from there.
Love it.
So integrations this year, we have a bunch of them that are planned to roll out here, over the next couple of months, probably one a month or something like that. We got some really cool integrations coming up that we're with, different finance companies or other, CRMs or whatever else it may be that we're going to be integrating with.
Maybe Lead Scout.
Definitely Lead Scout. Yeah, we've been hitting you up a bunch. So yeah, hopefully we get that done.
Love that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I mean, anything that you guys took away today? I mean, there's tons of stuff.
This is actually I believe my 10th one. Has she done 10?
You've been to all of them? Been 10?
Well, so I didn't go, I think, to the first 2.
Okay.
After that, I've been. So the first one was Joe. He went there, and I think Matthew, our marketing director, went to the other one. But other than that, I've been to all the rest.
That one in Denver Stadium?
So no, they had Minneapolis was the first one, and the second one was in Indianapolis. I know that, and then everything else has been all over kind of the country. So I've been to 7 or 8 of these.
Okay, how does this rank? How does this stack up?
Honestly, I think this could be really one of the best ones I think I've been to.
And not just because of the view?
No, I mean, the view's good. And don't get me wrong, Job
Incredible.
Nimbus has done a great job with their office here. Don't get me wrong. But I think Jen has done a great job on the final one, bringing in a lot of different people, and definitely packed the room here. I mean, this room is packed. I mean, was it 50 people plus in this room?
Yeah. This venue was money.
And from all over the country. I mean, we have California, we have Minnesota, we have contractors from all over the country here too. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, and when you ask the question, how many have heard of Roofle? How many raise their hands the first time you asked the question earlier this year compared to who raised their hand today?
The first time we did one of these, we asked who heard of Roofle. There was maybe 2 people that raised their hand in a room of 50 or whatever. Maybe 2, right?
Yeah, right.
Did you guys see today how many people raised their hands?
That's cool.
Everybody in this room raised their hand. Yeah. You know how awesome that felt, right?
Yeah.
To go from starting this, and what was the first one? July, I think was the first one, somewhere in there, to now we're in January within that time frame, to basically going from one person in the room to now pretty much everybody in the room, as far as hearing what's going on in the industry and hearing about what we do, was pretty amazing.
That's cool.
Pretty fulfilling,
Cool.
to see that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, good for you guys.
Yeah, I was excited.
Busting ass.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Great.
Yeah. Well, this guy.
I break things.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Busting ass and breaking things.
I don't know if I've busted an ass yet, but I break a lot of stuff. So
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for did I kind of lead this? I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting in Ty's seat.
Yeah. I guess if you sit in that seat, you're leading it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
nice job.
Thanks for letting me do that.
appreciate having us on here. I
Yeah.
think we've done this another time. Is this episode 160?
160.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
nice.
amazing. 160 episodes straight.
Big
Like
deal.
that is commitment. Like that is
Not
that
1 week missed.
wow. That's
Not
impressive.
one. I mean, the fact that Ty's not sitting here, I think. I mean, he was earlier with Jen, but I mean, he's been at every one, right?
Wow, it's impressive. The man never takes a
Very
day
good.
off.
No.
The man must never get sick.
This is your second
one,
Second
I
one?
believe. Yep, second one I've been on.
Okay.
Maybe third. I think maybe we did something in Dallas, possibly.
Okay.
But yeah, it's always an honor to be on the show. To talk about the cool things in the industry and talk about especially this event. It's a great event with some. I'll tell you what, Jen Silver knows how to fill a room full of great people. If you look at the vendors even that are here, and you look at the people that she puts into the room, she puts on a great event. And which is funny because the other day I was in Atlanta, and someone was asking me about oh, you're going to Jen Silver's event. How is that? We were thinking about going to Jen Silver's events this year. And I'm like, well, I think this might be her last one. I'm not sure if she's continuing to do any more or not, but they're like, we've been hearing great things about her event. So it's the same kind of similar thing to us, like one person in the room, all of a sudden the word just kind of spreads as far as people just talk all the good things and all the good speakers that are here.
Yep.
And the information and education that those contractors get when they leave here, it's pretty incredible. So,
and just to meet like the intimacy here too.
Oh yeah.
Like to be able to talk to Jake Hess and all these guys and and just collaborate. Special.
Yeah, it is. And they have a lot of Q&A and people will ask questions, and even, got a little Steve Badger was here and some people had some good questions for him. That was entertaining. But just the great people that she puts into the room, kudos to her. It's been a great event. It's been a great tour to be able to be a part of. So it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. Let's end on that.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Very
Jen.
cool.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Adios.